Hi guys, Jason here from Godlike Productions. Just doing a little bit more studio work. I thought I'd talk my way through what we're doing again. So this is I thought this was my chart that had all of my connections on, but it's an old version. It hasn't got the DSP-5D in it. So we'll see, I'll go through and do a whole bunch of work on this, and then I'm going to have to pull it all off and copy it over to the new one. I've had some issues with my server, so I've had a lot of files locally, which has not been helpful. The objective really today is to get the MIDI sorted out. So in the back of the rack, I've got an 8-port SE, which is an old DOS era MIDI interface, but it's got super low latency. And I've got a T8 on there, which is a MIDI Solutions 3-box, and I'm starting to run all the MIDI up to the basically up to all the groove boxes. So the objective here really is to get the last of the MIDI sorted out in this box, and you'll see there's another couple of videos after this which I've already recorded, but I've got to edit down. I end up finding a pretty nasty little short circuit in one of my cables, which takes me probably a good 2 or 3 hours. You'll see down the bottom there, you can follow along with the soundtracks that I'm listening to in the studio as I'm doing all this. I'm not going to put up the audio for 2 reasons. First of all, this is running at 8 times speed. It's going to sound like chipmunks, but probably more importantly is I don't want to get copyright strikes. So yeah, if you guys are inspired, want to see what I was doing while I was running all this, then yeah, you can tune into the tunes. So yes, this is another mistake I made here. The O1X, I'd forgotten that the MIDI outputs out of the O1X don't actually control the remote functionality of it. It needs to run through MLAN onto the i88X, so I have to put that back into the system somewhere to run MIDI through it. There is actually a hack that you can do for the O1X, which I'll probably do. I just need to get a connection board and solder 4 pins together, and it redirects that MIDI that normally goes to MLAN over to the main MIDI outputs on the O1X, but you lose the studio manager functionality, which for the O1X probably isn't a big deal. I don't use it very often. I use it for the DSP-5D, which has got gazillions of channels and no faders, but the O1X is probably, it's probably worthwhile doing. It just means I can get rid of that i88X. I don't have to bother with Firewire anymore and keeping MLAN drivers running and all that stuff. So I will have a look at that in the future. Just routing a whole bunch of cables there, so just tidying up the back of the rack a bit as well. It's quite important to try and keep that tidy. It's not as tidy as I want it, but it's complicated wiring in there, and I don't want to remake every single cable in the studio, so there are a few in there that are a little bit long that have been routed around. They're not overly long, but yeah, just trying to keep as tidy as I can. So this is just running additional MIDI, and what I do here, there's a few audio cables that I'm running as well, which not so much in this part, but there are some audio cables I need to run through the deluges. And what I do is I build a couple of like MIDI snakes. So it's just a couple of MIDI cables together, again just to keep these things as tidy as I can. I think I got frustrated there with the cable tie. The one I had wasn't quite long enough. So I'll try again. Went and got a longer one. So yeah, it's just I'm just wiring up. I'm attaching one of the snakes to the side rail. In the back of that rack there's some rails, and that really is just for strain relief. So what I don't want to do is I don't want the entire weight of the cables to be held by the connectors. So just put a cable tie around there, and just put a little bit of slack in the line so there's no pressure pulling on those connectors in the back of the rack. I do those with a heavier, basically with a heavier, the heavier snakes. Again, it's just more cable management here. Just trying to get it out of. Keep heading out a picture to find, yeah, Velcro ties or cable ties, just to try and get them in there. I keep getting frustrated. The ones I have around me on the floor there, and all of them are too short, so I have to keep going back out and finding a longer one. I think just as I'm building these looms, you just keep adding more and more cables to them, just to try and direct them as best you can, and just to keep that whole thing tidy. I've got just about everything I think in there is now labelled, so it makes it a lot easier to follow, to follow those through and to find out what's plugged in and out. But the objective of this day really is I want to get the back of this rack finished off so that I can put all the groove boxes in and start actually unpacking the boxes. After I've done this, I need to then populate the rack that you can see in the left of your picture, which is it's my old server rack, but it's going to have all the preamps and stuff in it, EQs and compressors, as well as a bit of other gear. So I'm going to populate that. Here I am back at editing the page. I just changed around some of the MIDI routing there. As I found out later on, my DM Pro, so the way I run the drum machines, because the drum machines really only need one channel each, I'm running them out. I run to the DM Pro, and then from the DM Pro to the TR909. But later on I discovered I've got an issue with the DM Pro. Like, it came up with an error on the screen, and then I did a reset on it. It's just come up with garbled characters, and it's not producing sound. So I think what's happened there is either the battery's gone flat, or more likely one of the chips has been, it's just moved, and I just need to reseat them. It's a pretty old drum machine now, but it's awesome. It's got, it's a great big rompler, really. It's just like a whole bunch of sampled sounds, but they're really good quality ones. So it's just a dedicated drum synth, really, by Alesis, or drum rompler. It's just making up these MIDI looms again that I was talking about. And putting some labels on them. So I've always had ambitions to take this rack out live and do live sets with it, but given how integrated it is into the rest of the setup, I'm not sure how feasible that really is. Maybe for a really big gig. But it's not too bad now, I guess. It's better than it was. Most of the stuff's wired internally, but it does run out to the mixer, the DSP5D, and certainly the MIDI cables go out there as well. I think in the last video, I had to relocate the MIDI face. What I didn't recognise, I was going to basically change the cables around, because the MIDI face connects the H9000, DSP5D, and the UFX3, so I can basically send audio anywhere, and that also opens up a whole bunch of possibilities for having the second computer in there. Anyway, but the main issue with it is on the UFX3, the coax can either be MIDI or it can be word clock, and I've got it as my word clock master, and so I can't use that coax to send to the MIDI face, so it has to be done over the optic fiber. And so yeah, I've had to just yeah, I just moved the MIDI face across back onto the rack on top of the DSP-5D and ran it down how I had it run in Perth. So there's a short coax cable that runs, or two coax cables that run down to the DSP-5D plus a word clock cable, and there's a word clock cable that runs across there from the, but ultimately from the UFX3. It runs across there, and then I've got some optical MIDI cables that run across as well. I'm not sure what I'm doing here, fixing something up. More MIDI cables, so yeah, that's the label maker there, so just making up some, labeling up the cables. Yeah, just getting all those MIDI cables sorted out. These, I think, coming down towards the end of what I need to do. So installing a few of the last cables and just doing a little bit of tidy up on those cable runs. One more set of cables with just putting them into a snake. So just two MIDI cables again in this one. Put some labels on at the end. I have to get some more of this, more of that woven braid that I put over the cables. Just ran out of it. This is the last part that I had. Can't remember where I bought it from now, so I'm gonna have to go searching a bit, but fairly generic stuff, fairly easy to find if anyone else wants to use it. I'd normally just cut it and then, I think as I mentioned last time, just put insulation tape around the ends and secure them down. It does tend to fray at the ends where you put it over the cable. Well guys, it's coming up to the end of the video now. So thanks for tuning in again. Thanks all for Buy Me a Coffee subscribers. If you want to help out and interested in getting some H9000 goodies, please follow the link below. It's very appreciated. I've still working on the next channel strip at the moment. It's taking a little bit of, well, it's taking a little bit of time. It's quite complicated, but also I was spending a lot of time just trying to get the last of the studio set up as well, so, well, not last of it, still a bit to go, but yeah, certainly getting into a more functional state where I can actually start writing some music, finish off the albums and stuff that we need to get out. So looking forward to that. Anyway guys, thanks very much. I'll see you all later. I'll leave you with the last few moments of the video here. I think I've just had enough here, and I'll come turn off camera shortly.